Everyone, it's Karen at Close to My Heart. We are here for another process video. I don't know if you've noticed, but we try to do one about once a month. We enjoy doing them so much. I guess I should say I really enjoy doing them so much. I hope you enjoy them as well. Before we get started though, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe to our channel here on YouTube and turn on those bell notifications. And that way, not only process videos, but any video that we post, you will get a notification. So let's get started. I'll tell you what I've brought to make today. You can see I have my November, December catalog open. The reason I do is if you have ever had one of our catalogs or looked at one online, you know that the whole catalog is filled with art and inspiration. And as I was flipping through my catalog, obviously I work in the art studio, so I knew what was in here, but I just was flipping through, just to refresh my memory, and this really popped at me. This is our mix-in papers, but just the art itself, it doesn't have to be done with the same thing, but these fun triangles and trees I thought were so much fun to use, and I thought I would use this as my inspiration. What I wanted to scrapbook today in our YouTube video is Christmas traditions. Have you ever done that? Have you ever scrapbooked your Christmas traditions? I feel like they're seen in our photos on our Christmas pages, but maybe never just focused on the things that are traditions. So I thought I'd use this as my inspiration. And as I pulled out my photos, I have quite a few, and I'm going to make this into a 2-page layout. I thought it might be fun to flip this and put all the trees on the bottom and this photo strip up at the top with the title. So I am using this as inspiration. I even pre-cut a bunch of these trees so that I had everything that I needed, enough for 2 pages. But when I printed my photos, let me tell you what I discovered. I have quite a few photos that talk about our traditions. One thing we do on Christmas Eve is decorate Christmas cookies. You can see some of the grandkids here doing that. Then we have a contest, and there's a $100 prize. That's what this picture is. We always have chicken broccoli casserole, homemade breadsticks, this delicious spinach salad on Christmas Eve. This photo is showing cousin gifts. We always have German pancakes on Christmas morning. Then Christmas dinner's always ham with cherry sauce and a pink fruit salad and all the things you see on that one. We also do a drink that we call Pedersen slush that we do on Christmas Eve and Christmas. Christmas Eve pajamas, that's what you see in this picture. Christmas Eve nativity, which you see in this picture. And then my husband and I always give each of our grandkids an ornament each year, so that by the time they get married, they will have a box full of ornaments that they have to be able to take and that will have the years on them. And so those are all the traditions that I felt like were important to really document on this page. Obviously, there are way more photos here than you see here, even if I were to do the second page. So I brought some, what we have called flip flaps, which are really fun to use, and you'll see those in use when I get going, because I think there's going to be way too many photos to just put them across the page. So those are my traditions. Since we shoot these process videos in our video room, I always have to do a little bit of forethought about what I'm going to do. So I did a little bit of that. On this inspiration layout, it says Happy Holidays, and I thought a little bit ahead about what I want my title to be. So I brought an alphabet to do my title. Here's my tree stamps that are like what are on the layout that you've already seen. And then as I thought about my title, I wanted it to be Christmas traditions. I also printed my journaling ahead so I can just add it to my layout here in the studio. So I printed it thinking I would stamp the title above. And I thought a little bit about what I wanted the title to be. Whenever I stamp a title with an alphabet, I like to do it on a scratch piece of paper first so that I can figure out spacing. So I stamped traditions with this really fun glistening alphabet. It attaches. It's a very cute, almost looks hand lettered. And then I wanted it to say Christmas traditions. So I went through all my stamps and found a stamp set that had a tiny Christmas. This says Christmas morning, and I'm going to use that. And I kind of loved how it fit right in there and nestled in traditions. So I stamped that ahead so that I could use it as kind of my guide. And we'll talk about that when I get to that, how I do that. And because I used this as my inspiration, I'm just throwing things everywhere. I did grab these papers ahead. This is a pretty pine pattern and then a linen pattern, some zip strips, a wood pattern. So I have all of those, but then I also brought extra papers in case as we get going, I think I might need some more of those. But I think it might be smart if we just start by building the base of the page. And I'm going to keep this nearby so I can refer to it. And hopefully this will inspire you to maybe use some of the art in our catalogs as your inspiration. And we'll see how it turns out into a 2-page layout flipped upside down. So I've got my trimmer here. I know that I have the base pages, which are these pine patterns. That's what was used in our catalog art. So I have those cut into 12 by 12s. Then I have these 2 linen pieces that I also still have as a 12 by 12. I think I need to cut them down. And when I look at something in the catalog, I just have to kind of guess a little bit at the measurements. This definitely looks like it has a 1/4 inch border all the way around. So that tells me it needs to be 11.5 by 11.5. So I'm just going to take both of these papers. Pattern paper, you can usually cut 2 at a time. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut this to 11.5 by 11.5. And I also looked at this wood piece that's in my inspiration photo, and I can tell by looking at this, this is less than half. So it's 11.5. That ends up being 5 3/4 is halfway. And there's a lot going on here and down below. So I guessed 4 3/4. Let's see how I did. It doesn't have to be exact anyway, but I went ahead and cut that wood to 4 3/4, and then I need to cut it at 11.5 in length so that it fits on that linen paper. And then I noticed that there were 2 zip strips used on here, one that had the stars and one that had the stitches that came off this mix-in paper. So I went ahead and cut those off. And both of those stop with the linen paper too. So let's just hurry and cut those to 11.5. And we will be ready to start assembling our page. Look how fast a page goes when you are using another page as your inspiration. And I'm sure as we get going that I'll do a few things differently. But it's so nice to have that starting point. So I did go ahead and look at all the trees that were on that layout and make sure I had enough of those trees cut and layered ahead of time. Ooh, I almost cut that too short. 11.5. So I have a whole stack of trees to use. And I just doubled how many were on there. But I also thought, gosh, it would be cute to maybe mix in a few trees with that are just stamped on maybe a French vanilla cardstock. And so I even did some of that too. Die cut some of those and stamp those. We'll see if I even use them. I don't know. But I wanted to be extra prepared as I came in here to start creating. So what I think I'll do is fold this catalog and put it right next to me to kind of help me stay inspired as I work and look at what was happening there so that I can decide if I want to keep it exactly like that or do my own thing. So I'm just going to grab some adhesive and start putting things together a little bit. Sometimes I love dreaming up my own designs, and sometimes I just want something to kind of give me a jumping off point, and sometimes I copy something exactly out of the catalog, which if you've ever wondered if that's okay, that is totally okay. When we see something online that we can tell someone has been inspired by us and copied something we've done in the art studio, that is just a huge compliment to us. So, all right, as you can tell, the wood's at the bottom on this one, and I'm thinking maybe more at the top would be fun, and my photos up here at the top and my trees at the bottom. So I'm just going to guess that it's about 1 inch down on the linen cardstock. It's about what it looks like to me in my photo there. And if I'm slightly off, it doesn't matter. Nobody knows, right? Doesn't have to be exact. Okay, I feel like this is giving me a good starting point. I think that probably I want to start thinking about where photos are going to go. Like I said, I brought some flip-flops to work with, but I need to make sure that the photos that I care the most about being on top are there. I think that one would be pretty. I am also thinking about ones that might look really nice with this color. I need my spot for my title right here, so I think I only want 2 for this page. I might add some flip-flaps, but that will help me space things a little bit. So I typed my journaling, guessing about how much space it would take for the title. And it looks like I guessed okay. I'm just going to move that over a little bit. So I think I need to add my title. And like I said, I did a little bit ahead of time. So I think I'm going to move over to the close-up camera so you can see how I measure a title. And it looks like in the sample layout, pine ink was used. So I'm going to go with the pine. I like how it looked on there. And that's what I stamped my little practice guy in. I found the middle of this, just measured and found the middle. And then I also measured and found the middle above my journaling here. So I drew myself a straight line and found the middle. And then because I've already stamped it, I kind of know exactly where everything needs to go. And I can just lay this right about where I'm working with that middle lined up, and that's going to help me do some stamping. So I tend to, especially on an alphabet like this, like to stamp one letter at a time because that way I can put them a lot closer, and I like my letters close. But when you want them to connect like this, you definitely want to stamp them one at a time. So I am going to start with the I, which is just to the left of the center. I'm just seasoning the stamp. This, I've used it before, but it's just habit for me. Also, I like to put underneath when I'm stamping the little foam piece that gives it a little cushion and makes it stamp a little nicer. So we're going to do this eye just to the left of that center line that I made. And you're going to see my head a lot, so I apologize. But when I've got a line like this, I like to get right above it to stamp. So I'm going to put my eye just to the left of that center line, as you can see there. And just going to keep something close by to clean with. I'm going to want to use that eye again. So I think I'm going to keep it on its block, grab another block, and maybe start working backwards. A D. Okay, I've got the word traditions stamped now, and I wanted to add that little Christmas. Now I'm going to show you a fun little trick that you can do. Let me put this away. Grab that other stamp set. This is a hilarious stamp set. Got a bunch of animals that are not happy about Christmas on there. Okay, so I'm going to take this. It says Christmas morning. We could cut it in half, but I'm going to show you how you can just put the word that you want on your block and then wrap the other part around so that all I'm going to get when I ink it is the word Christmas. I'm just going to kind of put it right in here between the T and the D. Isn't that cute? I love that. Just always think that stamps can be in pieces, because just by thinking of this stamp as just the word Christmas, I was able to find just the right size that I needed in my stamp collection. So I've got my title there. I'm just going to let it dry a little bit, then I'll erase the lines I drew for myself. And I think I'm ready to start adding trees. So I'm going to just stay right here on the close-up camera because I think that might be fun for you to be able to see this close up. Oh, I should probably attach this guy. Maybe I want him a little closer to the top. Did you know that when you mat a photo or mat a piece of art, usually there's an exact amount on the top and the bottom and the sides, or if there's not an exact amount, there is more space on the bottom. The sides stay equal, but more space on the bottom because your eye likes having a little extra down there. So I'm going to do that with my title. I'm not going to attach those yet because I'll put mats under those, but I do want to work on trees down here. So I'm just going to grab the ones that I cut. I kind of looked at my picture here and started choosing things. You'll notice in the picture there's some that are stamped directly. I may be doing that a little bit. And then I also, like I said, stamped and die cut a bunch that were just on French vanilla cardstock that we might use. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to start by just kind of laying out what I've got in the order that I see it on the layout in the catalog. That goes over there. Aren't those triangles cute? So I'll show you really quickly, since I did this ahead of time, just to make sure you understand what I did. So this is a stamp set that has coordinating thin cuts, and there's also even a stencil that goes with it, but I'm not sure I'll be using that one today. But here are the stamps. You can see them all triangle together, and there's also these fun triangle die cuts that are all the sizes of those trees that would also be so good for so many other things in addition to just fitting those trees. So I did, like I said, cut a bunch of those out of the same papers I saw here. Some of them I did a little bit differently, I think. So I've got these laid out. I think I will stamp the trees that were stamped on this page. So it looks like I've got a couple to stamp here. So let's grab the big one. That is, this one was used. And it's kind of in the middle here. I'm going to slide it where it belongs. Kind of in between these two trees. And I think it's stamped in pine, but if it's not, we're stamping in pine. Why not? We'll just add a few of those trees here. Grab a block here. I feel like it's, as you can see, as we're building, so easy when you've got inspiration to give you a starting place. I almost stamped that with it without it fully inked, and that's one of the great benefits of clear blocks and clear stamps. You can tell if they are where you want them to be. Okay, let's see. That's about the spot I want it, so I'm just gonna stamp that guy. And let's see what other ones it looks like are stamped on here that I might want to add. Well, we've got this guy over here, and that's one of the ones I stamped. Whoops. That's one of the ones I stamped on a piece of paper, so I'm just going to bring him over here, and maybe I'll use the one that's on the paper. Let's see. We need another one of these. It looks like it's got garlands across the... Here we go. Grab a block for this one. And that one we're going to stamp. Looks like a little bit to the left of this one and lower. So I'm going to get that one ready and stamp it. Maybe right about there. Uh-oh, I forgot to move my little... I'm going to see if I can fix my problem here. Lifting it up carefully without moving the stamp, I hope, so that I can scoot it over onto that foam piece. Ha! Miracles do happen, friends. And then let's see, I think there's one more that's stamped on here that has kind of like a scribbly looking tree that's all the way over here on this side, which I have already glued these together, so I'm going to need to mask it carefully. And all I'm going to do is grab a piece of paper and cover this edge that I don't want it on, and find myself a block that this will fit on. And this one looks like it's even a little bit lower, like right about there. If I'm smart, I'm going to move this over this time, right? Here we go. just going to wipe off this extra ink that I got on the block so it doesn't get on my page. It's worth taking the time to do that so you don't get a big ink smudge on your page. And I think I want to be right about here. There we go. I feel like I'm ready to put those all together now. Just cleaning my stamps quickly to put them away. All right, I'm going to start putting some trees down. Where's the little guy that I was going to add over here? There he is. I'm going to need to cut the edge of this off, I think. See if I can carefully lift that. Yep. All right, I'm going to glue my trees on, and then I think I'll just carry on over to the other side and get them all glued on. I am liking the mixture of trees I've got here. I feel like everything's getting laid out nicely. I only have one landscape photo, so I felt like it needed to kind of be the period at the end of the sentence here. So I think I'm just ready to do a little bit of embellishing and decide how my photos are going to go. I also cut some photo mats out of charcoal cardstock because that's what was also in my inspiration photo. So I'm just going to kind of lay them here. This one would definitely not have a foot flap on it because it's the only landscape photo. So I feel like I can go ahead and add that to this. The others I'm not going to add yet. I just want to see how it's going to look, because if these are the ones I want on the tops of the foot flaps, I would put this mat underneath the bottom of the foot flap. So I'll show you all that when I get to that point. I'm just sort of playing to make sure I like where everything's landing. I cut more mats than I actually needed because I wasn't sure how many I was going to fit across. But I'm really liking how this is looking right now. And I feel like I'm ready to start adding those zip strips that were in the inspiration photo. We'll do these stitchy looking ones right here at the top, which is how it was opposite on the inspiration photo, to kind of give these a place to rest my photos. I kind of like that. So I'll do the same thing on this other side, and you can always measure, but whenever I'm lining up two sides, I like them right next to each other so that I can just use the page itself to help me place things. It's not quite straight. I think that needs to be fixed. There we go. Better. Okay, that's cute. Then the inspiration also had this zip strip, which I really love. I think I'm going to do that down here at the bottom. Actually, I think I'm going to let that sort of overlap onto the wood. That's not how the inspiration one was. It left a space, but I put some of my trees high enough that I think I don't have room for a space. And I like how they look, so I'm not going to move them around. I'll just overlap a little bit of the wood. Okay, I like that. So now I need to make the other side match. That's another good tip, I guess, that I could share with you is when you are making a two-page layout, sometimes it's nice to let the two pages sort of be twins. Obviously, my trees are a little different on either side, but other than that, the basic pattern of each side is the same, and that is always pleasing to the eye. I don't always do it, but it is something that your eye likes when it finds something symmetrical. And it also makes designing a little bit easier too if you are not feeling especially creative that day. Duplicating what you've already got on one side for the other side, and then just making some of maybe the photo placement or embellishments placed a little differently. Okay, so far I am loving how this looks. I want to use some of these trees though that I brought, so I'm going to mix a few of these in because I did that with that one and really like it. So I'm going to grab the ones that I stamped and maybe add a few here and there. Maybe one right there. I did some of these little polka dotty looking ones. One right there, maybe. Maybe one right there. And maybe one in there. So I'm going to add those. Just had a fun idea. If there is a water brush here in the studio, I'm going to do it. Let's see if I have such a thing here in the studio. Ashley, our camera girl, is running looking for me. When crazy ideas hit, you know, we have to be prepared. Ha! We have one. How about that? Okay. I think it might be fun to add a little bit of painting to these trees I stamped. So let's try that. When you use a water brush, I guess I'll explain that really quickly. When you use a water brush, you want to make sure that any of the ink that you may have had in there from the last time you used it is gone. So you just want to find a scratch piece of paper. I have a lot of yellow on here. So good thing we did this, because I want to do these trees maybe in the lightest green I brought. Okay, so I'm going to move this over. This is Seabrook. It is the lightest green I've got in here. And I'm just going to add a little ink to my all-purpose mat and take a quick drink. And then use my water brush to pick it up. And if this looks bad, I can always take the tree off, right? I'm just going to use it to paint. And you can even shade with just using the ink from an ink pad. Where you put your water brush down first is going to be darkest, and then as you move it in, it will get a little bit lighter. And then you can always go back and add a little ink too, which I think I will do. Add a little more ink there on the side to make it feel a little bit shaded. I think I'll move over to the close-up camera for this. I think it will be fun for you to see it there. Okay, so you can see what I've done with that one tree. I've got another one that I stamped and cut out of the French vanilla. So I'm just going to keep grabbing that ink with my water brush and painting these. It's just like watercoloring, really. And you don't need watercolor paints, and it makes everything match your ink colors on your page. So I'm just kind of coloring him in really quickly. Then I'll go back and shade a little bit. I actually really like how that looks. Crazy ideas, right? They hit at sometimes just the right moment. Okay, and I kind of want a few little spots on here. Maybe I'll just do down the side of him like a shadow, because I feel like it needed a third, don't you? If you squeeze your water brush, it brings more water to the tip, and that's what I just did. I kind of want to blend that in a little bit. There we go. Awesome. I love how that looks. That was a fun little idea, I think. All right, I think I'm ready to attach things. I'm going to move back over here where you can see the whole thing. I brought lots of different embellishments with me too, because I'm not sure which ones I'm going to want to use once I get it made. I always do my embellishments at the very end, other than stamping. Stamping is something that I incorporate a little sooner. So I have how many photos left? 3 photos left. 4 photos left. Oh, that works out great because a flip flap holds 2 photos. Let's see where I put my flip flap. I know I brought them. Oh, I also brought some stickers. Maybe we'll want to use some of those. I'm just going to keep those close by just in case. And maybe I didn't bring any flip flap. I'll have to add my flip flaps at the end where you don't see, and then in the photo that gets posted with this video, you'll be able to see where they are. And I'll just add those photos later. But in the meantime, I think I will just put these, tack them lightly to these mats so that if I need to move them for the flip flaps, I can. And then we'll attach these mats to my layout. soon as we get off camera, you know I'll find those flip-flops. I was sure I was gonna want some and need some in this with all these photos. Okay, I've got all my photos put onto my mats so I can kind of start placing those. Oh, and I need to erase my pencil lines over here, so I'm gonna come do that while I'm thinking about it. This is just our rub and remove eraser, which is awesome for removing adhesive that you get places you don't want it to be, but it also is great for erasing. Just straightening that out just a little bit there. Okay, I think I want these two to be slightly tilted like in my sample that I was using for inspiration. So I think I'll put, this is my grandson's street. I'm going to put him right there. Add this one a little below our Christmas Eve traditional dinner. And then I'm going to work on these three. Let's see here. Our nativity. Kind of want it to feel like you're going on a little walk across, I think. And when you slightly overlap photos like this, it helps you move to the next place. So I am doing a little bit of overlapping. In fact, I think I'm going to put this one slightly under. There we go. Okay, I love how that looks. And I'll probably be adding some flip-flops to those. And then I think I just want to do a little bit of embellishing. I also wanted to look at stickers and see what I could find there. I brought a couple of different sticker sheets. Maybe a couple stars would be cute on here. Maybe I'll add a few to a tree here or there, like a little Christmas tree. There's not very many stars on here, but I'm going to use what there is. And let's see. There's some silver stars. Maybe I'll use a couple of those too. I actually brought some silver glitter gems down as a possible embellishment. Maybe that just decided I needed to put some of those on there. Let's see, I think that takes care of my silver stars and my gray stars. So that's gonna have to be, oh, there's even some stars on this one. Maybe I'll use a few, well, there's only one little one. Let's use this little one and let it be attached to maybe one of my larger trees. There, kind of want it there. There we go. And I also just noticed this border, which I like having a dark color. Everything's pretty light. My charcoal's a little bit dark, but everything feels really light. And I love when I use a layout like this that is kind of lighter colors and then ground it with something darker, like the pine in the background here kind of grounds it. But I think this is so cute. I just don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to maybe cut this in half and see what I can do with this guy. If I put that sticker on my trimmer and just straddle the cutting line so there's an equal amount on either side, that'll give me two little 1/4 inch ones, which might be fun to play with here. I really like it right there, which means I'm going to need to do the same thing on the other side. Good thing I have enough. Maybe I'll even overlap the stars a little bit. I like the little bit of visual interest that just added. Right here. One just popped right off. That's good because I put them down lightly so I could add flip-flops. Okay, so then I need the other half for over here. It might even be really cute right there too. We'll see what that looks like. above. Still not straight. Do you guys ever do that? Move things 1,000 times because when you look at them later, it just doesn't feel quite right? Well, obviously I do. There we go. I like that. Cute. All right, what do I have left to do? Maybe I want to add some embellishments. What did I bring? I brought some green dots because it had the pine color in it. I brought some of the silver glitter gems, which I definitely want to use now that I've used a few silver stars. I brought these red dots because this color over on the left is the same color as this desert rose. And I think I grabbed some black and white dots too, which maybe I want to use now that I've added that little bit of black. So I actually am going to add a little bit right there where I can tell I need to draw the eye down a little bit. And maybe I'll even use stars since stars are kind of happening right here. Maybe I want to bring a little more black down, so I think I will do a little bit of that, just a little, not too much. I also like the idea of a little bit of black right here at the end where I have some space. Okay, I like how that's looking. I like how it's sort of framing what's here, making it not look too plain right there. And then the beginning and ending of my trees. Now I think I'm going to grab those silver ones and add a little bit of glitter to go with these silvery metallic stars. See, when you have glitter gems, you get a sheet of large and a sheet of small. So I think we need to use a little bit of both. I'm going to use these just kind of a scatter, I think, with my trees. I feel really happy with how this turned out. I don't even think it needs anything else except for maybe some flip flaps, which I will add and show you in just a few minutes. But I'm going to just bring this over really quickly to the close-up camera and let you see some close-ups of some of what we did today. I love this little bit of watercoloring we did, stamp pad painting. As I built this layout today, that maybe it gave you some ideas and made you stop and think of some of the things that you do with your family at Christmas time. Merry Christmas, everyone.